If you read the title, I'm being serious. In 5 minutes, your specific person is texting you, and in 1 week, you're going to be dating. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. But this is actually best explained first if we go over a Neville Goddard quote. So Neville wrote, "We offer the evidence of the senses which consciousness the Lord rejects, because acceptance of this gift as a mold of the future would mean the fixation and perpetuation of the present state forever. The sick would be sick, the poor would be poor, the thief would be a thief, the murderer a murderer, and so on, without hope of redemption." So what this is meaning, and the reason why we may not be with our specific person right now, and it's really, really simple, is the thought process that we feel because what we're seeing in our reality is here, it must be permanent. But that's actually not the case. We perceive things in our reality as blocks or barriers, but there is no such thing as a manifestation block or a manifestation barrier. It's just something that you've created in your mind. Because let me put it this way. We've all heard of writer's block, right? You probably heard that, maybe even experienced it before. But how come we've never heard of dancer's block or carpenter's block? Right? Writer's block isn't actually a thing because it's not a block with writing, it's a block of a state. And so just like Neville mentioned in his quote, if we assume and act in the same exact way, or we assume there is no way out of our current 3D reality, then everyone would be stuck in the same exact position that they would be doomed to repeat forever and ever. But we know that's not the case. Even if you look back at your life as it is, you would notice and see that you've changed a lot over the past month, year, or even 5 or 10 years, right? You are completely a different person. So why are we assuming then with our specific person that everything just is the way it is right here and right now? I actually had someone even comment on one of my Instagram videos just before this, was like, yeah, you can manifest except when they tell you to your face that they don't want to be with you. But that's actually not the case at all. That would be under this assumption again that what we see is what we get. But that, again, is not the case. What you see in your reality is just a reflection of who you are. If right now, going back to the Neville Goddard quote, someone felt sick or in a state of being poor or a thief or a murderer, if they're in that state right now, it doesn't mean you have to perpetually or forever be in that state. Something is going to happen that will eventually take you out of it. And so we need to get ourselves out of this illusion and understanding that manifestation blocks don't actually exist. And the only reason that we actually experience these blocks or barriers at all is because we're thinking of them in that way, and thus they are becoming a block or a barrier. For example, think of a third party, right? A third party is actually a part of your reality and is you pushed out, and thus everything that is you pushed out is going to be helping you get to your manifestation. So if we begin to assume as if the third party is a problem or is running against us, or we're worried that our specific person is going to pick them over us, then and only then we have created a barrier based on how we're actually viewing it, because we start to view them as someone who is working against us, and thus your reality must show you exactly what you are experiencing or assuming with them. But instead, if we begin to assume that they're actually working for you, or understand that it's not an external problem, so all of these ideas and blocks are never ever external, so thus they are never in existence. It's ourselves and our relationship within our mind to that thing outside of us. Going back to the third party, it actually has nothing to do with the third party at all. Think about it a little more in depth. If you think about it in the way that it actually has everything to do with our own self-concept, then everything would make sense. The third party isn't a block or a threat to you at all. You just assume that you are not as valuable as that individual, and thus it creates this barrier. But it's only the focus on that causes it. And a metaphor that you can think of that might help this make more sense, and so you can push out of this concept, is the idea of running a race. So let's say you know you're the fastest person to run a race. If you go to the starting point and starting line, and there's a bunch of people there also running that race, but you know you're the fastest, how do you actually treat everyone around you? You would actually have no malicious intent at all. You would know you're the best. You would actually wish them luck, but you know you're just the fastest, so you're going to win. That's the same thing with any manifestation that you can think of, including your specific person. If you know that you're going to change and alter and be the best version of yourself and come as your most valuable entity that you can embody, then of course your specific person would want to be with you. They would choose you over everyone else. And only when your specific person talks to other people, it actually will help you, because in comparison, it'll make you look even better. And so if we can just get this within our mind, everything is going to become absolutely effortless. For example, I'll actually include a success story that someone DM'd me after one of our calls. So I'll put it up on the screen. They wrote, "By the way, after our call, I went to the supermarket and there was my specific person and he hugged me and everything." So think about that. So think about again, the title is becoming real to you in this moment. So in 5 minutes, they're texting you. In a week, you're dating. This individual had all the same worries and fears that everyone else is going to have when they're manifesting. Mainly that they're worried there's some barrier, or what they see is what they're going to get, right? Their specific person was not in a massive amount of communication with them, but when they began to shift that mindset and understand that barriers are just within your mind, then they go to the supermarket. They get this divine guidance, because do you think they would have done that if they were trying to actively resolve something in their physical reality? Probably not. But then not only do they go to the supermarket, they see their specific person, but then not only do they see their specific person, they have an amazing and fantastic time with them. And so this is the same thing you can manifest in your reality if we just understand that there are no barriers. Time itself is also a barrier that we accidentally bring about by the focus of it. There's no time to overcome. The path that you want to get to your specific person, or anything for that matter, is available to you right now. There is a perfect path from any state to any other state in your reality. We just need to find it. And so that's the case as to why we can experience something right here and right now. Like, for example, I was actually even on a call with someone today, and they were talking about how it's their specific person's birthday, but they're worried about sending them a birthday message. But think about it in this way. What would they be worried about? That's another example of them understanding or thinking that there is a barrier in their reality, but there absolutely is not. It's the whole concept that I had them ask themselves, because manifestation is basically a state of understanding rather than anything to do physical. I just had them ask themselves, why would we perceive that we would receive a negative text from our specific person, right? So if they wanted to send the message, the whole reason and the fear and the barrier is that they're assuming that they're going to get a negative response. But then why? Right? So then the barrier is entirely imaginary, because they're going to text their SP and their SP is going to respond like, "Oh my gosh, I missed you. Let's meet up. Let's date." Basically, again, in 5 minutes, they're texting you. In a week, they're dating you. But it all is in relation to your fears. Don't worry about your fears. Your fears do not exist. The barriers and circumstances you feel are in your way aren't real. We just need to assume that, so then we can create the reality we want. If you did have any questions on this, make sure to comment them in the comment section below. If you did want to send me a personal message, make sure to head over to kyleaugustcoaching.com. That's where you can ask me a question personally. If you didn't want to post it below, if it had like content from your specific person in it. As well as this, make sure to comment the affirmation, "Time does not affect my manifestation." If you really want to set that in stone, there are no barriers with my manifestation, something like that, that's really going to get the ball rolling within your mind. Because again, manifestation is all about understanding over anything else. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I can't wait to see you in my next video tomorrow.